What's up, guys, and welcome to Road to Crypto Millionaire episode 1, where I'm going to be learning to trade cryptocurrencies based on technical indicators. If you take a look at some of the old videos on my channel, a lot of my old videos used to be very fundamentally oriented. I would trade based on news and not really pay attention to the charts as much, but I'm really trying to change that, and I want to do this in a bear market. That's the reason that I'm starting this, while Bitcoin is just struggling to keep up with making new highs, and there's a lot of optimistic news coming out for Bitcoin, so it's still an exciting time to be in the space. But nevertheless, if we take a look at the price, we are still in a deep recession, very long extended bear market, and that's why I want to take advantage of this now and really double down on getting to learn crypto. Right now, the market is actually in the green for the day, Bitcoin being up almost 3% after a fall off to about 6,100. And I'm still actually quite bearish on Bitcoin in the short term, but over the long term, I think that if you take a look at the price, what we've done over the past couple of years, and Bitcoin has never been fundamentally more solid than it is right now. That's why that I'm very excited to be doing this. And again, the long-term goal is to have $1 million through trading, and I'm basing that off my previous performance in the market. So I do think that it's an attainable goal. I'm gonna have to work really hard to do it, but I still think that if I am able to make some really nice trades over the next 6 to 12 months, that we will be on our way. So feel free to follow me on my journey, subscribe if you are interested, and make sure to turn on notifications so you do see whenever I'm posting these. I'll be doing a lot of news coverage, charts, technical analysis, and stuff like that. Again, I'll be posting these probably 3-4 times a week, just whenever I get a chance. So let's get into it. Right now, Bitcoin, like I was saying, $6,400, and as I just want to go back real quick to what I was saying earlier about how currently the crypto market is in such a bear recession. However, if you take a look at the fractals of the Bitcoin price, that's how it moves. This market works very much decided by fractals and reflections in the price from previous bull runs. So if you take a look at this run that we had in 2014, we obviously saw Bitcoin go up to $1,100, and we saw a 2-year bear market that followed. I don't think that this one's going to be quite as extreme, but I do think that we have a little bit of time to go before we start entering a bull market again. And there's a couple of different reasons that I believe that. If anything, I think we're really going to just not do a lot in the next couple months. I think that we're going to kind of consolidate here, and the market, again, there's so many positive things going on with Backed. The NASDAQ exchange was talking about possibly listing some cryptocurrencies. So I think that early 2019 is ultimately my long-term target for when I think we'll start really uptrending again. And I want to use this tweet by the CEO of Binance, CZ, to show, I haven't met a single person who understands blockchain that doesn't believe in it. It really just is a good explanation of why these bubbles happen. And people get really excited, the hype is all there, and then it dies off for a little bit. But over these 15 months or whatever it was that Bitcoin wasn't really doing anything in terms of price, there were still good things coming out for it. People were still developing it. The Lightning Network was in progress, and right now the Lightning Network is closer than ever to being a real thing. So again, really positive news, and I think that it's going to be really important here to get some nice trades in and pay attention to the charts over the next month or so, because we've tested some key support levels at 6,000, I think almost 7 times now. So I ultimately, again, in the short term, am bearish on Bitcoin because of this, and I'll use this thread to kind of explain where I'm getting this my thoughts from, as well as this chart. Let me open this in a new tab. I'll start with this one real quick. Basically, if you don't know much about technical analysis, this is what's known as a demand zone. It's basically where buyers start stepping in to, it's in Bitcoin prices based on supply and demand. Once it hits this zone, the price starts to increase. Buyers are getting confidence, and that's basically the psychology of how markets work. It's all supply and demand, and especially in cryptocurrencies. So the first time we bounced off of this zone, we saw a great reaction, the best reaction based on what he's saying in this chart, where we rallied up to about 12,000. Next, you see we rallied a little bit slower this time. We still got a very solid reaction though, up to about $10,000. We hit it again, and look at it's starting to taper off. We consolidated in the zone. Look how short of a time we were in this zone. We were in there. This is the 1-day chart, so we were in this demand zone for a matter of 2 days. We see these 2 bars there. If you take a look at the next one, we were there for roughly 20 days, give or take. This one, we're there from the beginning of let's say middle June until the middle of July, so that was a month, followed by this one where we're really having a hard time getting even out of this demand zone. And we also see, let's go to trading view real quick. We can see this very apparent downtrend that's going on in the market. This is kind of the lines that everyone is looking at right now. If we go to the daily, we'll be able to look at it a little bit easier. That this trend line right here, this resistance, has absolutely knocked Bitcoin every single time it's touched, and it's just completely sold off every single time. So that is really something, in my opinion, that's a little concerning, that we are, it's a confirmation that we are still in this bear market. Things are still not quite looking up. I think that we still have some room to bottom. And in this chart, in this thread, he really talks about how, based on 2015, how you should be playing this. And that's going to be really valuable to you guys to hear in the next month or so. If this demand zone which is support right now, which is supporting the price, bouncing every time, if we break through this level, we do have quite a bit of downside to go, and that's when things could really start to get rough for crypto. And that's what they say, when there's blood in the streets, according to Warren Buffett, when there's blood in the streets and people are being fearful, that's the time to buy. So that's why I think that this is a really valuable thread to be looking at, considering in 2015 we saw what was known as a high volume capitulation event, where we saw Bitcoin sell off to $162. If you take a look at this wick right here, we saw this massive 12 hours of just complete selling, and we just really, that's how we bottomed. We never saw Bitcoin cheaper than this after that sell-off, and that's when things were able to reverse. That's when the bear market technically officially ended, and we were able to just kind of start ranging at that point. We weren't quite in a bull market yet, but we also weren't going down any further. So that's something to look at. The other way he says we bottom is through a slow grinding price action, and that's possible too. But I do think that if we break this level, there would be so much panic in the streets, and he does show reasons to support his levels that he's looking at, where he's placing his bids. So just something to consider. I'm not saying that this is how exactly it's going to play out. Obviously, no one actually knows. But I thought this was a very educational chart on how you should be layering your bids. You obviously don't want to go in all in at one price. It's really just best to dollar cost average in, especially in an event like this where you just don't know how much panic there actually is in the market and how low it could actually go, because in these situations where it drops, it can drop very quickly and very fast. So it's always important to have money on the sideline in case it does go lower, and these are the levels that ultimately he is looking at. For me personally, I think that 4,400 is really where you want to have most of your money in, and that's what he has. He is about 50% in by 4,400. I would put that up to about 75-80%. I don't think we'll go much lower than that, considering 5,000 was a major resistance, and that's just a key level, based on psychology. 5,000 would just be a level that should hold very as support very well. So that's personally what I'm looking at. I think 4,400 is where you want to have the majority of your money in, and this is not financial advice, but that's how I'm playing this dip. And yeah, so that's what I'm looking at chart wise. Altcoins are not looking much better. If we take a look at something like Omise Go, which is considered actually a very strong alt, or not strong, but very fundamentally strong project. We take a look at this chart and we see that we are basically sitting on support, which is either a great buy right now, considering this could bounce, or it could break through this and we just dive into complete new lows. So that's something just that you guys should be aware of, that if you are holding altcoins right now, you really need to be cautious with the ones you have picked and be prepared for lower levels, possibly that we've never seen before. A lot of them are making all-time lows, so just be very careful when you're holding altcoins right now. If anything, just hold Bitcoin or even fiat right now. I think is a pretty decent idea, considering how true these charts have been playing out. And again, I'm not bearish on Bitcoin over the long term, but over the short term, we really need to take a realistic look at the charts, and I think that's really important for making money over the long term, is really not being too emotional with your investments. So that's what I'm looking at. I want to show you guys a quick trade that I made this week. Made a decent amount of profit off of it, about 10-15% from this trade. I was looking at Tron. Shout out to Ben at Ben Learns Trading for posting this chart. Basically, if you take a look at this level, this 340 Satoshis level is considered a support, or if you wanted to say 346 based on the candles. So basically, this was acting as a support, and we did see this descending triangle forming. I actually don't know how to trade based chart based on BitMEX, but if you know what a descending triangle looks like, you know that the highs are getting lower and lower. So basically, this support is causing it to bounce less and less every time, and ultimately that's a bearish pattern. So I was able to go short on Tron around 340 Satoshis. It broke through the support and went all the way down to 311 or 308 actually, and 311's where I sold at. Sold my short position, and ultimately that worked out pretty well. I was actually able to time it very, very well, and it bounced, and we're actually seeing lows, so I could have kept it going, but that was trading on a little bit of a shorter term, so I wanted to close that out, and it's always important to take profits as well. So yeah, that was one of the trades I made this week, and I'll be posting trade setups as well in the future of stuff that's playing out right now that you guys can look into as well. So keep that in mind. This was some really big news finally, fundamentally, for Icon and VeChain. These two coins are by far leading global blockchain adoption out of any other cryptocurrencies. It's really crazy to see some of the partnerships that they've achieved over the past year. These are two altcoins that I strongly believe have a pivotal impact on the long term of this market, because they are developing real world solutions for real big companies. This was the largest insurance firm in Korea that partnered with Icon, and that is expected to roll out in October. So I know I covered this in my last video, but I just wanted to show it again and show it along with VeChain. that they've also partnered with the People's Insurance Company of China, which was the largest insurer in I think the world actually. So these are two massive partnerships that I just don't see many other cryptocurrencies making. I just don't see it. The level of the prestige of these partnerships, to see that we're seeing headlines such as mass production ready from VeChain and BYD, which is the largest Chinese manufacturer of electric cars, and massive company. It's bigger than Tesla for anyone who is in the United States. Basically, this is a massive company that I believe one of these is actually state owned by China as well, or maybe both. But that's just something that you cannot ignore over the long term. I really believe that adoption is going to be a leading indicator of which cryptocurrencies are able to stick around in the market and over the long term take some of this market share from Bitcoin. You know, we saw it in Ethereum back in 2017, this huge drop in market share from Bitcoin. You know, I think that based on what happens in this market when history repeats itself, I think that we could see a lot more altcoins over the long term start to really do the same as Ethereum did in 2017. Obviously, that's a long-term play for me. VeChain is my largest long-term holdings, so you know, take it with a grain of salt what I'm saying here, but please look into VeChain if you're looking into some. If you agree with my thesis, I should say, that adoption is going to be what leads the market into the next bull run. And I was listening to Carter Thomas the other day. He has the exact same thought process, that adoption is in the end the best indicator for which of these cryptocurrencies do the best over the long term. So that's the fundamental news that I'm looking at this week. I'll have plenty more picks and stuff like that for you guys in the next couple episodes, so stay tuned for that, and let me know what you guys would like to see from me in these episodes as well, and hopefully you guys enjoyed. Thank you so much for sticking around. Please leave a comment if you have watched this far, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.